Okay, so this is definitely probably the worst time to be making a video on Piodon due to how things will be playing out in the next couple of chapters. And a lot of what I'm going to be saying is going to be severely outdated in a number of years, but as my friend suggested, that just means more Piodon videos. So, Piodon, this is going to be tough. The more I thought about how I could possibly have the answers, those answers just led into more questions that ultimately led to dead ends, at least for now. Piodon is a very interesting character because after 100 chapters of meeting him, we still don't know virtually anything about him. We know that it's threatening and a bad sign when he shows up, but then he sometimes does stuff that kind of helps out in the end, and even Seth will admit that sometimes. I don't get it. And for those who haven't read Radiant, you might be thinking, well, that just sounds like an anti-hero then. Yeah, maybe, but everything he does is a constant back and forth of doing good and bad deeds to the people around him. As in, we don't know what side he's playing for or what his final goal is. And I can already tell you, even I can't really come up with a conclusion that satisfies me. I can't brainstorm and theorize that big and far for a story by Mr. Valente's Dreams that's probably going to be 30 to 40 volumes long, and we aren't even halfway there. So, we still have quite a ways to go before we're given definitive answers. But enough dawdling, let me get into something that's actually interesting and the possible inspiration for where a good chunk of Piodon's motives come from. And to do that, we need to start with a completely different character, Adriel. When I was looking back at the earlier chapters of Bohm, the introduction of Adriel and Emeth was a bit odd. Isn't it a little bit weird that Adriel, out of the two, has the biggest indication that he has an infection, that being the big-ass singular wing on his back, which means he most likely can use Fantasia. But every time you see him, he's fighting with basic martial arts and skills with a bola. Not even a magical bola, it's normal. Emeth is on the same boat. He uses pure raw strength, and Piodon can literally just run through Nemesis and kill them. And another thing I've noticed is that they all can somewhat fly. I don't know what the connection is to that, if I'm being completely honest, and I don't think I'll actually get back to it in this video, but just keep that in mind. Piodon can at least, that's for sure. If they're infected, they should be able to use Fantasia, but they're not, and more importantly, they can't. Now, before you doubt me and think, well, just because they are infected doesn't automatically mean they know how to. True, and Doc is a perfect example of this. He's infected and can't use a lick of Fantasia, so he uses the Pendragon armor instead. However, given their background and even their squad's name, I highly doubt that. All three of them are conversos, which isn't just a made-up word. A converso was someone that was originally under the religion of Judaism, but was forced to change the religion to Christianity. So in Radiant's context, a person who's infected, but now forcibly working for the Inquisition. And I know they're more or less forced to be because Adriel stated that they're wearing fetters or chains, which seems to go with their attire. Those claw-like hands definitely have something to do with it, and maybe even the silver bolt part, which is also on their boots. That is most likely restraining them from using Fantasia. And then the biggest kicker and revelation I found out for myself when going through the chapters again, they were all a part of one of the most dangerous prisons in Bohm, if not all of Theranos, with some insane and powerful people. One of which happened to be Nurgle, the greatest Dominator to ever live according to Opelion, who's one of the coolest fucking characters in the series, by the way. And they beat him along with all the other Riot members. Like, holy shit. So I'm pretty sure they can use just a little bit of Fantasia. And if they're able to take down a guy with a title like that, they must have access to some pretty busted ass spells and powers. Which probably explains why they have the restraints in the first place. Though in Nurgle's case, if he was supposedly the best and still got beaten, I guess he's not all that.
Not all that? And I suppose you can do better.
But the person who gave them that position was Torque of all people, and it seems he's not entirely without mercy. Due to their actions and picking up on how Adriel described it, it seems as if the Conversos can capture enough infected people, they will be pardoned from the prison they were held in and won't be hunted down by the Inquisition once they're set free. With all of that in mind, it makes me think that there's some sort of point system to earn their freedom. This is gonna sound weird, but if they capture, say, people like the Bravery Quartet, yeah, remember those numbnuts? Capture each one and you get like 5 points. They're not really a menace to society and they're just causing simple crimes. But then you subdue someone like Melee, obvious disruption and danger to the public, and is using magic to do so. That's an easy 20 points. But then, what about a Dominator? We've seen the shit they can do, 40 points. However, what's the one thing that can pique Torque's interest? This even goes back to the very first chapter he was introduced in, horned wizards like Seth. And Piodon is only aiming for horned wizards. They give the highest amount of points, 70 points. So, with the idea of him hunting down horned wizards, it makes sense. He of all people should probably know how dangerous they are, considering that he is one, and it most likely explains how he ended up in prison in the first place. Alright, after 1,000 words in the script by this point, you get it. He goes for the highest score each time so he can get his prize of liberty. But this is where the tricky part comes into play. It's his methods that confuse me. If all he had to do was just his job like normal, similar to Emeth and Adriel, stop a nemesis or two, pick up on rumors on where horned wizards are, point in that direction, they get captured, call it a day. Keep doing that until you're free. And from simply taking a guess on how long he's been a converso, maybe a few years. Not that difficult of a job, and the benefits are pretty fine too. Hell, they even cover dental. So why is he going through all of these weird methods to capture horned wizards the way he does? The way he goes about it is a tale that all three brothers can recall. He shows up when they are at a desperate time and are in need of help. He not only helps, but unlocks their true potential and affinity for Fantasia to a greater level. They are now able to use this, again, this form doesn't have a name, but the feral or pulsar form. But for Diabol and Triton specifically, when they started asking more and more questions about Piodon, he just handed them over to the Inquisition, and they just had them tortured. Diabol managed to escape, somehow. Triton, we don't know what happened to him. Seth seems to be the special case though. He was almost about to go down the same path, but weirdly thanks to the band-aid on his face, that saved him. Which makes me think that his horns aren't his infections, and it has something to do with that band-aid, and says more about what Alma probably knows. From this, Seth immediately felt the dark nature that resides in Piodon, despite him saying stuff like, "What? Come on, I'm just here to help, come on, man, I'm here to hook a brother up, what's wrong with that?" So with him initially hurting Seth, he's bad news. But due to Piodon's power, it saved Seth actually. Now, this might be due to the ritual being incomplete, but from how Seth's feral form works, it basically acts like a second health bar. When Seth is drained of energy or prematurely knocked out, that's when it kicks in and gives him so much more power. I'm pretty sure he killed a guy with it. The con with this power, though, is when he's not in control and can't really distinguish friend from foe. Though, from what's shown in the series so far, it seems to target those who are a threat to him or the people who did attack him beforehand, one or the other. And, well, because of this, it has saved Seth a few times, but he doesn't really have to worry about that anymore since he's gotten control of it through Mer's training. The thing he should be worried about is the fact that Piodon essentially marked him and can literally always keep an eye on him for when he goes into autopilot. Piodon will know where Seth is, and that's what's happening in the latest set of chapters, and things aren't looking too hot. As we've witnessed so far, Piodon is just a weird guy with unknown morals. He wants to help his brothers, good, but then just double crosses them eventually and hands them over to the people that will harm them, bad, but the power he gives them can technically save them if used right, good. However, it's kinda used to brand them in a certain way and keep track of them, bad, and it's used to make sure they can't technically forever escape his grasp, double bad. Is this his way of getting back at the Inquisition for what they've done? I don't know. Is it him giving people like Seth pulsar abilities a preparation move for the true evil to come? I don't know. Or perhaps a manner in which he doesn't feel too guilty and handing them over later when he literally gives them a fighting chance to escape. I don't know.
I don't know!
And if those answers sound unsatisfying to you, well, refer to the beginning of the video. However, I won't end on a low note. let's at least hype ourselves up for what's to come, and that's Piodon absolutely going to fucking town on these Domitors. And if there's anyone in that room who might know how powerful he truly is, it's Grim. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Grim was the only person to really expand upon the notion of Seth having a brother, and Grim flat out says that he confused Seth for Piodon, or perhaps someone else. Because with all this talk and hype about Piodon, certainly there has to be a name connection to the character. And upon my discovery, I found nothing. Seriously, nothing. I tried to find any correlation. Not a single clue. However, the closest thing I did hear and find, which does have some evidence, is Piodon having a similar manner to Loki, probably the #1 god that's known for being a trickster. With him being comparable to him specifically, this goes well with one of the more shocking things about him. Loki was a god known for being able to take on different appearances and somewhat shapeshift. And he also has a lot of different origins, and no one's really sure where he 100% comes from. Piodon goes by different names. Hell, when he was first called Piodon, he was even surprised and literally just said, "Oh, well, I mean, I haven't been called that in a while. That's just a cover name. Fuck it, I'm calling him by his government name now. Sidron." Yeah, that's the name that most of the Inquisition know him by, actually. Now, why did I start this whole segment about Grim beforehand, though? Well, when we also learned about Sidron's real name, this whole time I've been only talking about 3 conversos, when there was actually 4. Andromaque. We haven't seen where this dude went off to, and so far no one's brought him up either. Though, by the looks of it, he didn't make it too far after the prison riot. At least, that's what we think. It's feasible that Andromaque is Grim. From this panel right here, he's not taking the sight or the feeling of blood leaving his body too lightly, which is without a doubt Grim's biggest weakness. It's rather ironic that he has Cabal, a blade that can nearly cut anything, but the moment he gets a paper cut on his body, he's running. Additional evidence to support this claim is from chapter 124. Grim says that he understands on what it's like to have trust issues. Now, this might be from the Inquisition or from Sidron particularly. Now, all of this wasn't my idea. This comes from Reese Easier from the Radiant subreddit. That's a good idea, and I don't know if you're watching this, but I can definitely say that I'm kind of rooting for this theory to come true now, if anything. That would be really interesting to see these two, finally come together and probably sort some things out. Who knows what the hell happened to them, so nice job. But I'll take it a step forward and support your theory and add more info to it. Because upon researching Converso, I found another term that might fit Grim or Andromaque's role. This word right here. I can't pronounce it, and from the fact that it might be a slur, so I can't say it. I'm only black, which means I can tell you who was in Paris, but not in Spain in the Middle Ages.
Did you honestly think I was gonna say the N-word? Come on, man. Why would I say something like that?
Anyways, it pretty much means the same thing a converso was, but they still practice Judaism traditions and lifestyle in secret. So, Radiant context, a converso or someone in the Inquisition who's actually working towards wizards and domitors instead. Andromaque probably had this role and then decided to die off in a mission as a cover-up and then come back as Grim. And given how Grim is the second most secretive character behind Sidron, I wouldn't put it past Tony Valente to incorporate this sort of character into the story. So tying back to Sidron, he's about to cut loose, and there's a chance that Grim and the Domitors are going to have their hands full with just this one guy. It's a bit of a spoiler warning, even for those caught up at the time of this recording. The latest chapter is 124. This was just something that I put together. What I truly mean is, and this is going to sound really fucking hype for what I'm about to say, his chains break. How do I know this? Well, the cover of volume 17 was revealed, and from second glance, the silver part of his gloves broke, which most likely means Sidron is finally going to be able to use real Fantasia on his enemies. And I don't think it's too crazy for me to say that he's one of the strongest characters by far. Hell, we can even bump him up to the top 3 of power, if I'm being honest. Even thaumaturges have to use a method using magic. The chant, and a weapon that's connected to their abilities. They have to use that for most of them. For powers that are more streamlined to the body, people like Santori and Illumia have to enhance their power through potions to give it a boost to last longer and stronger. Without that, they're not really anything despite their title. Sidron doesn't need any of that. No chant, no weapon, no conduit, just pure unbridled magic. Very similar to Shadow's inhibitor rings. Take them off, and now he's at full power, which probably does give the idea and supports Diabol's method and theory of the idea of Horn Wizards being stupidly dumb powerful and why they're probably always being captured. Because if he can do shit like this just by running through them, imagine what he's going to be able to do when he can actually use spells. Again, without all the other things that I've just mentioned before. That's how powerful this dude is. It's pretty fucking nuts. Besides that, Piodon, Sidron, or anything else that he goes by is one of the most mysterious characters that I've ever seen in a story. His goals are so gray and unclear that Fog itself gets jealous. He's for sure a character that invites you to want to learn more, but the more we learn, the more enigmatic and powerful he becomes when you put the pieces together. And it's pretty insane to think that literally everything I've said so far is subject to change and from a character who's been in less than a handful of chapters. That's how engaging he is. However, until we get the answers on who he really is, just like what he said when he first arrived, we, the audience, are just that. Spectators who are curious about the intricate mechanics of one man who wants to govern the flow of things. And that is the video on Piodon. I don't think there's really anything else that I can talk about because there's just so much in the fucking air and too many possibilities. And again, I don't know where this dude's going. Like, he's there to save Seth, but we don't know what he wants to do with Seth. He says that, I value your life. Is it because he genuinely cares and wants to save torn people, or he just wants to get his final points and be free? I don't know, man. I really don't know. But, yeah. I think that's about it. I am tired of talking. My throat hurts. So, and this video's been going on long enough. So now it's time to edit the audio. That'll be fun. But, yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know what to do with all the links that I provide and everything of the sort. Thank you for watching. That's greatly appreciated, of course. Have a great day. Have a great night. And everything else, you know what to do. Bye.